hello, San Fernando Valley. We are here at the KROJ studios. This is Voces Unidas, Las Comadres. I'm Comadre Diosy.
And Comadre Maria.
And we just got our hair done, y'all. We've never started a show this way before. Definitely a new experience for us. But we are joined by Vanesa, Destiny, and Barbara from Chicas Braidz. And this is a whole crew here. They're like super professional. They came. They were so ready. I got my hair done. If you guys are checking in on the Instagram, then you guys can see my braid. If not, you guys are gonna have to check it out on YouTube. But we're gonna be posting pictures for sure, cause this is like, it's so cool. How do you feel, comadre? What you got a different thing going on.
Yeah, my hair's a little longer than yours, so I got 2 braids, and I have beautiful ribbons in them, and this is just the type of thing that you look at, and you're like, oh, I wish I had somebody that knew how to do this kind of stuff, and you guys were able to do that tonight so quickly and so beautifully done, and there's a lot of message. There's a message that comes behind the work that you're doing. So we're excited to have you here today to talk about that.
Yes. So without further ado, let's start with Destiny, and let's just introduce yourself. Just say hi, and then we'll go down the line.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, everyone. Everyone tuning in. I'm Destiny Fuentes. I am a mother. I'm a mother to a 3-year-old little boy. And I work in the Tatavium tribe nursery as a core member. I work with my beautiful friend Barbara, and we are co-owners of Chicas Braidz.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. Mi nombre es Barbara, and I'm also part of the Tubakai Tribal Conservation Corps. I'm really excited to just be here, just because I want to tell you guys everything about Chicas Braidz. So, yeah.
And I am Vanesa Melendez. I am an actor, painter, photographer, amateur photographer, and I've been doing it for all my life. So, hi.
Hello. So we briefly spoke to Vanesa and to Des last week on our show. They kind of popped in, and we had a little impromptu get to know them, but now we obviously invited them back because it's like such a great conversation, but we want to get to know you guys further, get to know a little bit more about like you as a person, your work, your artistic endeavors, and so, right off the bat, these braids, you guys said it was going to be like a confidence boost, and I can say that definitely it's a confidence boost. I have not been feeling myself lately because I've been kind of sick. So like right now I'm like this. I feel like I really needed this.
Yeah.
I'm over the top right now.
Yeah,
so.
It looks so cute on you. Look at the pop of color.
Where did this idea come from? Like, how did you guys come about like doing this? It's such a unique idea.
Well, originally, me and Barbara have been doing each other's braids for years now. Since about 2015, when we became friends, I started doing her little brother's braids for football. And then it just started from us doing braids on each other and adding hair extensions and doing crazy things like box braids, just crazy different kinds of braids, and we would take pictures of it, and we always just had this idea of like maybe one day starting a business about this, right? And then amiga, si te quieres hablar de persona.
Claro. Okay, so this Chicas Braidz, it has been a little bit of different ideas. Like Destiny said, she used to start braiding my hair when we were young. We were like around like 17, 18. And I ended up going to Chile, and in Chile I got to conocer su cultura, and I came across the concha braid, and I was like fascinated. So why wouldn't I want to get a braid, right? A concha braid at the beach. To me, it was magical. So, I got my hair done, got the braid. It lasted me for 3 months. Came back to California, and then my braid was gone. So I'm like, oh, sad, right? So I'm telling Destiny, I was like, Destiny, I want to bring the concha back. I was like, you have to help me, right? Because she's like my go-to girl when I want to get my hair done. But another reason why we started doing the ribbon, here's the ribbon story. We went to Persona. It's in Mid-City. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her. I found out through Persona through a podcast. And then they were hosting an event, and it was called Sana Tu Niña Interior.
Okay.
So, there was this girl right there doing braids with ribbon. Her name is, creo que se llama...
Moños de mi niñez.
Moños de mi niñez.
Check her out on IG, guys. She's super cool.
Yes. Ahí van a conocer un poquito más de la historia. So, me and Destiny are looking at each other, and we're like, let's do it. So right there on the spot, we did our Instagram. We came up with the name. And we're like, the next day, let's go buy the ribbon.
Yeah,
so we went
literally.
to Santi Ali's. We bought the ribbons. We bought the conchas. And then a week after, we had some friends come over. And we're like, okay, come over. We'll do your hair. And we'll take some pictures, right?
Our first photo shoot.
Our first photo shoot. So, Chicas Braidz ha sido como multiple, occasions. And then we finally were like, you know what? Let's just do it.
Se aventaron.
Se aventaron con ganas.
Yes.
Sí.
I'm checking out the Moños de mi niñez.
Yeah.
And wow, it's just so, it is so, it reminds me of my childhood.
Right.
And that's kind of what I was telling you guys, when you guys were doing my hair was, it was something that I saw a lot on TV growing up, like I said, the niñas fresitas, on TV, they always had their little braids or, it was kind of like this gitana look, to me, that's what it looked like. And I always thought that they were so cool. I always wanted to look like them. And I even think Britney Spears had a braid like this too, in the 90s, so I just remember growing up and being so fascinated by braids, but I didn't really have braids. I had a Nina who she braided all my head once. Everything.
Like cornrows.
Yeah, she braided all of it. But because
That's
I told her, I'm like, I want pelo like Shakira.
Yeah.
I was like, yo quiero mi pelo. I had really long hair. Le dije, yo quiero mi pelo como Shakira. My mom was against heat. So she's like, okay, la quieres como Shakira, yo te lo voy a hacer. But I had ADHD growing up, so she was like, aquí te voy a tener. She's like, you're going to stay still, and I'm going to keep you here.
Oh.
So that was the first and last time I ever had my hair braided because it was literally, it took hours.
Oh, my God.
Hours. I had a lot of hair growing up. So my whole head, I had the braids, I think, for 2 months, I want to say.
Really? You kept them in for that long?
I kept them in.
Wow.
My mom would wash my hair. She would do a vinegar wash. She would wash my hair, but they stayed, for 2 months. And then when I finally took it out, it's because I had to go to school. It was summer was over, and I was I had to go to school. Maybe it was shorter, because it was during summer break.
Yeah.
So summer break, I think, is a month and a couple weeks. So it's probably shorter. But yeah, that's basically what happened. I had to take out the braids, and then my hair was
boom.
Shakira
braid.
Shakira hair.
Yes.
But that's where my fascination with braids started. With I thought I was they're just the it girl,
Look,
it's,
yes.
It's
so unique, and it's also very, I think braids, or not even just braids, but getting your hair done is so personal, and hair is such a personal thing, and it's a big part of our identity, I think, and for it to be done and looking, it also could be looking as an accessory, another accessory that you have. And not only that, but learning about the history of where these braids are coming from and what it represents is such a beautiful thing too. I don't know, Barbara wants to talk about the concha history braids.
Okay, so let me tell you guys, today I was at a coffee shop and I'm like, okay, I'm doing braids, so let me know a little bit more, right? So I went deep looking to where the concha braid originated. Y resulta que las mujeres africanas se hacían el pelo, they would get their hair done, braided, because at that time they were slaves. Mm-hmm. So they would do a pattern on their head with the braids. And that was a map to know where they were supposed to go. And not just that, on the conchas, they will hide seeds. Seeds so that when they would get to a safe place, they had something to eat, right? And I found that so fascinating. Trenzas have been around for so long. Yeah. And saying that, I remember my first time I started braiding with my muñecas. I will get with my neighbors, like all my friends, and be like, okay, let's learn how to do braids. And I started with the muñecas. And thank you for sharing your story, because we had one of our mottos, and she said the last time I got my hair braided was so long, and it was by my mother, because she's not here, she's in Mexico. So to me and for us, it's very special that we get to work with it's like young ladies, like, like trenzar. It's like she says, feels so personal. And then I told her, like, our job is just to make people happy,
And
like
beautiful.
to make our girls
So
happy.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even like the braids, the listones, the history of that is so beautiful too. It was a sign of resilience and empowerment for women when, they were starting to get colonized by Spaniards in all parts of Latin America. And they would wear the ribbon in their hair as a sign of like empowerment for them. And honestly, I think that's such a beautiful thing to bring back, considering what we're going through right now in the political space. And just to have it back in the valley, right? In LA, this is popping. Like this is the new wave of style and fashion that's coming in, and being the first to bring it back to Renee is really fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
It kind of reminds me of the conversation in Comadre we were having with Kisbel last week. And so Kisbel, she's a model, an artist. She's a performer,
She raps too.
She raps too.
Okay.
So super cool person. But Kisbel, she embraces her indigeneity and through her work. And so she does her makeup, and I think she said Mochica.
No, isn't it where your mom is from?
Purepecha? No. She's Guatemalan. So I think she was saying Mochica. But she embraces the makeup that they used like back in the day, when like indigenous, when they were in the
so the only
people.
kind of product she uses is what they used.
I don't know if the product, but like the style of makeup.
Oh yeah, I
and
understand.
so like I'll pull her up right now. But point is, she also incorporates like the huapiles, and so she was talking about how that it helps her like embrace her identity, and like also for folks to know who she is, and so many reasons why she does it. But I was telling her like that I feel super empowered by her, because like for me, I didn't start learning about my indigeneity until I had like identity crisis, and I was like, who am I? What am I? Like, we all have it growing up here in the States. If you didn't come from, especially like if you don't have that connection with your motherland, then like you're here, you grow up here, and you're so disconnected, and like the identity crisis that hits is like insane. So when I went through that identity crisis, I started looking into my indigeneity, and I'm Purepecha. And so with them, they wear a lot of colorful like clothing, and like it's just so beautiful, but I've never felt like comfortable embracing it myself or putting the clothing on, because like I never want to like appropriate my own culture or anybody's culture, and like like I always grew up kind of like feeling like and there's no one to teach me, so like I don't know how to step into it. And she said, do you think this is pretty? She's like, esto te llama? Like does your heart feel good? Like she said, it was so beautiful the way she said it, but like I was like, yeah. And she's like, well, that's why, because la sangre te llama. Like this is you. This is you calling you. You saying this is beautiful is because it's you.
Right.
And I think that's us as girls with our braids, like with our hair, with like, I want to remind everybody, you guys are tuned in to KROJ 101.5 FM. We are coming to you guys live from our studios here in San Fernando. We are broadcasting from Panorama City. This is Las Comadres. We are produced by Voces Unidas and Pacoima and Valley Views SFB Media. I'm Comadre Diosy.
Comadre Maria.
We're joined by Comadre
Destiny,
Barbara,
and Vanessa.
Awesome. So yeah, guys, like just like I think that like that also goes to show like this whole conversation, like it's even tying back to like that conversation we had last week, where like it's just such a natural thing, like these, you need to listen to those natural callings, and like like the your braids, you and Tere both look so beautiful, and like you guys are different, Hispanic, Chicana, like women, like my comadre over here, she's Peruvian. You're
Salvadorian. Yeah.
You know, I'm Mexicana. You know, like, it's just so different, but like the culture is there.
It's the same. And, you know, to just add on to your point a little bit, what you were saying about you feeling that you would be appropriating your own culture, it's really unfortunate that a lot of girls that are coming from Latina descent that live in America feel like that, because, you know, it's not normalized anymore to embrace where we come from, because we're on, you know, white land, right? White stolen lands. And it really shouldn't be like that anymore. If America was made up of so many different people, why aren't we able to embrace who we are as, you know, society? Different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's in those like people like yourselves, people like ourselves, you know, that take it upon ourselves to like bridge those gaps, you know, like,
right.
Because I think that's where like this is all. It's like there's so many generational gaps. It's not our fault. It's not our parents' fault. It's not like this is all the product of like colonization at
right.
the end of the day.
Like it is.
And like somebody has to face it. And I think every generation has had their fights. And I think like what a beautiful fight it is to like fight for identity in the way that we're fighting for it, to be able to do it through fashion, to be able to do it through like music, through our voice, through art. Like I'm like so grateful that this is like the like what I'm going
like
through.
The new revolution.
Because like gosh, like I can't imagine, like I know what my mom went through, you know, I know what my dad went through. Like my dad was 20 years older than my mom, so he was a whole other generation, you know, of undocumented, and like his journey here, and then my mom's, you know, like it's crazy. And then all the in-betweens, tias, you know, ninas, the people that like community made, we're all community made, right? But yeah, so like I could just go on a tangent with all of this, but no, you guys, thank you guys so much. Let's bring it back. Thank you guys so much for being here. It means a lot, like especially since like last week, and it's been like so last minute, but like it's just so perfect. So muchas gracias.
Thank you guys for having us.
Yeah, definitely. Vanessa. Let's talk about your hair for a sec. You got like this shaggy do going on. How do you use your hair to like for identity and whatnot, like in your own creative way, you know? You have like a pretty unique style.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So I grew up with long hair. I've always had like thinner hair than everybody else, and it's just something that I eventually transitioned into. I think you know, high school when you're experimenting, and like you know, eventually like after high school when I was in college, I like chopped most of it off, and so I was rocking the like short pixie cut for a bit.
Nice.
But it's I think it suits me. It perfectly suits me now, and I think that's because I definitely figured out what my vibe is, and it definitely is wild and untamed, and like in a sexy way.
Yeah,
sure.
No, it
and,
definitely
you know,
is like a sexy look. You know, I love shaggy haircuts.
Yeah.
I follow a girl on Instagram, and she specializes on like shaggy haircuts, and so like I love your hair. I was actually really inspired by your hair, and I was telling Daniel, I was like, I think I want to like go back to like a shaggier look. But yeah, I love shaggy haircuts. So it looks great.
No, for sure. No, thank you. It took a while to find my style for sure, but I think I've always had the energy of like defiance against authority, and so I think as I grew older and just found this style, it just kind of fit perfectly. So I'm so grateful that I know what works for me now, so I don't have to go through awkward stage later.
No, yeah.
And you're actor, right? How does because there's, I mean, living in California and Los Angeles, there's a lot of actors. How do you try to keep true to yourself through your style? You know, you spoke about your hair, and how do you like to express yourself through your style in a town where there's a lot of expression? How do you sort of keep unique to yourself?
Yeah, a lot of that was definitely difficult growing up. I think beyond acting, before the world of acting, I did struggle to feel like I fit in. And that was because, you know, like I was trying to be something that I wasn't, which was overly feminine, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm still exploring my femininity, and I love it. Like, I do have a feminine side, masculine side, and I rock both, and since I was a child. And that's something that, like, I was insecure about growing up. And, you know, I think college, when I moved out of home, because, you know, living in a Hispanic household, my mom wanted me to be, like, super feminine. She was like, what
Those
the heck is wrong with you?
expectations of what you...
Yeah. She was like, what the heck is wrong with you? And I'm like, oh, I just am how I am. And you know, it's, like, I was just always tomboyish or, like, both energies. And so transitioning that into acting, in the beginning, it was really hard. It is difficult because, you know, you look at someone like me who's very niche, and you're like, okay, like, you could probably do, like, a Hot Topic commercial, right? But you probably can't do, like, a Claire's, you know what I mean? Like, I have an intense,
gotcha.
it's my features as well. It's not just my hair. It's,
Right.
I have intense eyes and eyebrows and sharper features in my face. And so, like, growing up, like, when I was trying to be feminine, that was hard. Like, how am I going to wear feminine clothes and feel out of place because of things that I can't change about my body and how I look? So it was a journey for sure, and embracing myself and accepting that I can't change the shape of my nose. I can't change the shape of my eyebrows. I can't change my eyes. Like, I can't do any of that. But I eventually, through that, I fell in love with myself. And acting now, it's so niche. And I think a lot of people get surprised that I'm Latina as well, Latino. They always assume Middle Eastern or, like, European.
Because of your darker features?
Yeah. Or, you know, like, I have freckles, or, like, I just don't look like Latina right away. You know, you're just like, oh, you're a little, you know. So in the industry, I am considered ethnically ambiguous. So, yeah, I think a lot of people just, they enjoy how I look, and I'm grateful. And I'm a Spanish speaker. They always need it. So, yeah. That's
great, because I mean it's I mean, I can imagine just being an actor, model, you know, anything where people are looking at you and sort of evaluating or judging you in a way or another, having a journey where you weren't necessarily feeling how you were presenting yourself or how you were dressing, but then being able to go through that, like, cut through all of that, and still find yourself and still feel authentic at the end of the day, and not resorting to things that are going to change you, because you could have very well tried to fit in that world, and, you know, you're going to change, you know, your hair or your face, or you're going to get injections or any kind of thing where it's altering your features. And being able to embrace that's really powerful, because growing up, I have always been insecure about my freckles, like, about my moles.
Yeah.
And, like, my boyfriend's like, oh, I really like them. And I'm like, really? Because even growing up, like, I was always insecure about them. And that just sort of shows you how you can be your own worst critic. You know? You think that you're special. I mean, that you're not special, but you are.
Yeah.
I agree.
Kind of to chime in on that thought, I think that it's really important to see different kinds of representation in media, because if not, we're going to be seeing the same face over and over again, right? The same small European nose, blue eyes, blonde hair, you know, white skin, fair skin. And it's seeing different kinds of people represented, it does a lot for the youth, right? Like, for a smaller generation who's watching us and who's looking up and who's like, oh my God, like, I don't look like them, right? And it's like saying, like, you don't have to look like them. You're beautiful just the way you are, right?
Yeah. And then that allows us to, like, really step into spaces as like individuals, you know?
Right,
and I think
right.
that's like where it's important, because, like, from experience, like, I know myself, like, stepping into radio, like, I don't really know, like, other than Don Cheto, like, I don't know, like, you know, what it looks like to be in a radio station, like, as a Latina, you know, like, to be, like, the type of show that we have, like, I've not seen this, you know? And so, like, to know that we're, like, creating those avenues, we are, you know, being those examples. Like, we have a few friends in the community who are younger, like, they're, you know, in high school and whatnot, and they work with us, you know, the Valley Views crew, they have their interns, you know, but outside of that, like, we work with, like, the younger crowd as well. And, you know, like, I just feel like them hearing these stories, and, you know, like, yourself, like, there's for sure a little girl out there that like literally feels that way, you know, and there's a little girl that feels like empowered, like also through like the colors and the braids, and so like
No, the braids. I also wanted to say that in some places, the braids are really tied to, like you said, indigenous cultures, and like where I'm from at the time before immigrating to California, I remember that the sentiment was that indigenous folks are, less than. There's a lot of colorism in Peru. And I don't know how it is now. I haven't been back in very many years. But I do remember that there were certain family members that were lighter skinned, better off, that they would sort of pass judgment on folks that had braids that were like indigenous or sort of freshly from the mountain regions coming down to the city trying to find jobs. So they were sort of stigmatized in a way. And I think it's really unfortunate because that's just another way of erasing our indigenous roots. And like I immigrated from Peru when I was very young, so I don't really have a lot of the knowledge and the background that other people that are from Peru that would know the history, know sort of everything that has happened. So I feel disconnected in that way. But then also being here, being an immigrant and learning the culture and learning the ways of not just America, so to speak, but also all the other cultures that coexist within America. So it was it's been a journey for me to try and figure out who I am, what I am, just like Diosy was talking about. But I think for me it's a little bit different because I feel like my family has been so removed from knowing who we are. My great grandfather immigrated from Japan to Peru. We were just talking about that. And that was during, I believe, World War II, fled Japan, immigrated to Peru, and changed his entire identity because he was trying to blend in. So you change your name and you get a whole new identity. So I don't know what that original last name was, what region of Japan, like what prompted his arrival here. And by the time I was old enough to comprehend these things,
that they mattered.
Around. He wasn't around anymore, so I couldn't ask him. And asking my grandmother or my grandfather or even my aunts and uncles, they don't know very much because they were part of that assimilation. Like you assimilate to the cultures of the norms of your country, and you forget everything that you come from. So, so it's been a little bit harder for me too, just like her, to try to figure out who I am, where I come from, and what's okay for me to claim. Like,
that part.
Yeah, I say I'm Peruvian, but there's layers to that. Like, there's the European layer, but then there's also the indigenous layer, and then there's also the Asian layer. So for me, I struggle with that identity. So being able to do things like this, like with braids, and learn about the significance and how important it is to our culture to retain this power and this knowledge, it's very healing.
Yeah, I love that.
It does feel very powerful.
Oh, another thing, we live in a society that is full of people who judge, right? It is systematically that way. We see this with DEI and all the things that are going on politically, and so I think, in many ways, in my own persona, right, in my career, I think I love making people just question who the heck I am, right? So it's like you look at me, you would never think I'm into men, ever. You would never think I'm into men. No, I like men. I'm gonna, for the record. But
for the record,
like I like.
Never judge a book by its cover.
No. I mean, I like who I like, right? And I express myself in feminine ways. Like I'll wear a thong tomorrow. I'll do whatever. But a lot of people, they are so uptight. Yeah. They're so uptight. And I mean, judging with culture and stuff, and people are they just want to know, right? And why can't we just be who we are?
The human experience is so fluid, and it's never written. There's no instruction manuals in any language, in any culture. So I think it's really unfortunate that some folks really hold on to these beliefs that sort of ruin it for the generations to come, because then the generations to come can't learn. They can't engage in this discourse that we're having, in these conversations, because they're like, oh, these are these are how things are always going to be, so why even bother thinking about anything else other than what I know?
Right.
And it destroys us, our individual soul, and our connection to our communities
And our ancestors
And
as well.
Right.
It rips those connections to what we came from, if you think about it, you know. I think it's so amazing that your grandpa came from Japan. That is a crazy story. Have you ever thought of doing like ancestry or getting your DNA tested to see exactly where you're from?
Yes, I am very curious about exactly knowing like what percentage of what I am. But just recently there was like a hack with ancestry.com.
Yeah.
Have y'all heard about that?
I kind of did. What was it exactly?
I think what it was that it was a password issue. So I think the passwords were like not all that secure, and people were able to like break into the accounts.
Oh,
so
wow.
the ancestry is like, it's not really my fault that you didn't put a really strong password in there,
Right,
right? But
right.
we'll give you whatever they settle for. But so that's the only thing that holds me back from actually like.
I did the 23andMe.
You did
knows.
it.
Yeah,
You
she
did
has
it.
actual percentages of what she is, and she's actually
Yeah.
black.
Really?
I think we're all black.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
No,
the
we're going.
record,
She's
we're
actually
all black.
No, I think.
Don't put words in my
Comadre.
mouth. Oh my god.
No, we went through my ancestry together. My comadre has seen my ancestry, but yeah, like my ancestry is very like
Diverse.
no,
Oh.
it's very clear like where my mom is indigenous. Like she grew up in like the jungle, you know, like
Wow,
she's
really?
indigenous.
She's native.
Yeah, she's native.
Yeah.
So when I grew up, I spoke Nahuatl like as
Wow.
a child, like my first
Can
language.
you say like a phrase?
Nah, girl.
No?
Like, so my comadre was talking about like the assimilation. Like my mom, when she came here, you know, like she barely spoke Spanish. So she actually like, because of the culture, like Mexican culture and like in like the native culture, there's a big like divide. Like it's
Right.
not the same, you know, like. And so like I never really grew up like knowing like what the Mexican culture really was. Like I had a big family, but it was like my siblings and my mom. Like I didn't have tias, tios. Like I didn't have that Mexican culture.
You grew up in the native side.
And so yeah, because my mom, she was native, and
Right.
so because she was native, she got more along with like Central American women. So like her culture is more in alignment with like Salvadorian women, Hondureñas, like Guatemalan, and so like I grew up around like that. Like I grew up around Central American women, and so like completely no like identity there. But I always wondered like why wasn't my mom like Mexican, and so I kind of figured as I grew up like, oh, like she doesn't know what Mexican culture is. She literally like went from the jungle to like Pacoima. So and then but with my dad, his family, we know like has European descent, and so on my dad's side, like it's very clear like where his hometown is, and then there's like the European side from him. Right. So like I have family like second cousins, third cousins, first cousins in like Portugal.
Wow.
And so like my ancestry, like it actually connected, and so like I could see their names, I could see, you know, like, so like it were to say like my mom, like let's say like our great grandparents, like they had like sets of kids or whatever, like, and then one of the kids came over here to the States and started a family, and then there's like that person has like a sibling that had their family over there, and like it developed, and then like so now there's like it's a version of me that's out there. Like I have a cousin, like a third. I know my cousins.
Isn't that so trippy?
Yeah,
like what?
I just met my third cousins from my dad's side, my second cousins and like stuff like at my grandpa's funeral, and like they look like me.
Yeah.
You know, like They literally look like me. So I'm like, it makes me think, like, I wonder if these, like, European folks
have similar features to
like
you
us,
as well.
you know? But yeah, so, like, yeah, but you could see it in my ancestry test. Like,
That's
you
so
can see,
crazy.
like, there's only, like, for one of the parents, the family tree is, like
nothing.
Just
and is that for your mom?
For my mom.
But is her tribe from Mexico? Like, is it in
Michoacan?
It's in Michoacan.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's in Michoacan.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy, but
you wouldn't be interested in doing something like that, Tere? Like 23andMe? I think that'd be super
I think it'd be
dope.
so cool.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I definitely want to do it.
I think we should all do it.
Right? And come back. Share results.
Share results and see who's from where and if we were right.
And then
it's such a simple process too. I know there's like so much controversy around it, but like honestly, like if you don't have like that connection, like my comadre, like myself, like I don't have connection to my dad's side of the family. My dad passed away, you know, and my mom, like, she has no connection to her family. She came here really young. So it's like, that's my only option, you know?
And putting a name to your identity, it gives you more of like empowerment to be able to live in your truth and live in who you come from.
Yeah.
I think so.
So if you want to do it, do it. And if you don't.
Yeah.
Don't judge.
Don't do it.
Don't judge.
On that note, y'all, we're going to take a quick little break. Please enjoy this playlist by Alex Infinity on Spotify called Las Comadres, Locals Only. This playlist features local artists here in the San Fernando Valley. So if you know anybody that might be interested on being on here, or if you just want to submit somebody, you guys can reach out to us on Instagram at Voces Unidas en Pacoima or at Las Comadres _VU, or you guys can reach out directly to Alex Infinity. Just do that quick little search, Alex Infinity, you'll find them. Enjoy this song by Erica Storm, y'all. We'll be right back. Hey, y'all. I hope you guys were enjoying that. That was our playlist made by the one and only Alex Infinity. This playlist, you guys can find it on Spotify. It's called Las Comadres, Locals Only. And it features local musicians, artists here in the San Fernando Valley. And beyond, like the one and only Hector likes to say, for Valley Views. But yeah, this playlist is full of music from, you know, folks that we know, Santo del Valle, Jose the Panda, Daniel Molina, Alex Infinity, Erica Storm, just a bunch of folks that, you know, we've had here on air. Some of them we have not, but the music is amazing. So if you guys want to check that out, it's on Spotify. I am Comadre Diosy. I'm here with
Comadre Maria,
Comadre
Destiny,
Barbara,
Vanessa.
And this is Las Comadres. Our show is produced by Voces Unidas en Pacoima and Valley Views SFE Media. We are here in KROJ. We are coming to you guys from the studios here at Pueblo y Salud. Shout out to Pueblo y Salud. Shout out to Radio Olin. Shout out Valley Views. You know, thank you guys so much for the work that you guys do, for having us on here and, you know, allowing us to share our voices and this platform with these amazing women, and all of the guests that we have on. But we were just talking about, you know, braids, hair, you know, how we feel, our culture, identity, just all those types of conversations, you know, that I feel like we don't really have them anymore. I feel like I used to have these types of conversations, like growing up with my friends, like in elementary school, maybe even middle school. But like, I feel like identity took a whole different turn, you know, like in high school. And after that, like identity became like about me as an individual in this society, not about like who I came from. Right. Whereas like when I was growing up, it was very much focused on like where I came from, like my parents, my siblings, like that's what was in my face. But like as I grew up, like that was not really what was important. I found identity outside of that. And unfortunately, like because of that, like, you know, I didn't really connect with my community. I didn't really connect with just in general, like my surroundings. And so like I didn't really hang out in my community growing up. You know, I tried to be involved in a lot of programming, so I didn't have to be like around like the girls in my community either, because I never really felt welcome. So like I don't know about you guys, like how like your guys' experiences was like growing up, like as you know, a girl in the community, like facing these struggles, and like when was it for you that you like started to identify with this version of yourself, you know? Because like for me and my comadre, like we said, it's recent, and we are in our 30s, you know, now. And when I met my comadre, I was like 28, you know. And so like this conversation is, yes, it's new to us, but like it's not new in the sense that like we've always struggled with identity crisis, you know. So like I'm curious to know, like for you guys as individuals, like where was that like identity connection with your indigeneity? Has it always been there, or was it like something that you came into as an adult?
Oh, I'll just jump in. For me personally, I feel like I was not really growing up with my culture, I guess. And to be honest, I'm not really too sure where I'm exactly from on my mom's side. There's a little rumor that we might have a touch of Native American in us. But for my dad's is Salvadorian, and I didn't really grow up learning about where they came from or what their costumbres were, you know, or anything like that. So everything that I've learned about who I am now has been all on my own as an adult woman. And I'm not gonna lie, like this new job that I started, I work with Barbara with the Tataviam tribe, and learning about how we all are native. We all come from somewhere, right? Like if you, whatever you are, you come from somewhere. You have ancestors and roots to a specific land. And I've been so like interested on learning exactly where I come from, like in my Mayan, Aztec, Inca, like where do I come from, what was their practices and what was their culture, and trying to learn as much as possible to teach it to my son, and not keep culture out of the household or not keep it out of the conversation as he's growing up, you know. So yeah, definitely as an adult woman is when I started getting in touch with culture.
Okay. Vamos a ver. Creo que for me it was a little different. I came to the U.S. when I was 10, and I am now 17 years old. So I always felt like I was never from El Salvador y tampoco era de Estados Unidos, porque I wasn't welcome here, but I couldn't go back to my country tampoco. And it took me a long time to realize that it's okay. It's okay to not know, because, you know, when I came here, it's like toda mi familia de El Salvador was like, oh, you forgot about us. You forgot about us and you think you're better than us. And I'm like, no, I'm not better than you guys, you know? So for me, it was very difficult because I felt like I didn't have a home. I wasn't welcome here. And my family from El Salvador was like, tú ya cambiaste, you know? Entonces, it took me a long time como conectarme conmigo misma. And yo soy muy espiritual. I'm very spiritual. And it took me to realize that I am from everywhere y de todos lados. Like, I have a little bit de una cosita. Y for me, the way I'm working with myself and knowing my identity, knowing where I come from, is through the years. Even though the years for me don't exist. Like, I always tell my girls, like, don't worry how old you are. Like, if you think about it, age is just a number, you know? Rather think about it like, what are you going to do with this amount of time, right? So with that amount of time I have, when I was 23 years old, I thought about that I was very old. I was old. Why? Because my mom will always say, like, oh, cuando tú llegues a vieja, they're not going to like you no more. They're not going to want you no more, right? So she would always tell me, like, fix yourself. So your man doesn't, like, not be in love with you no more, you know? So when I was 23 years old, I said, I'm not going to be afraid of age no more. It took me a whole year. And I said, okay, now I'm 27. And to me, being 27 means nothing but lessons, right? And last year, 26 years old, I got a chance to work for the band Mission Indians for Nateño, Tatavian, which means healthy land. And with them, I got to discover myself a little bit more, de dónde vengo, quién soy yo. Y a mí me encanta jugar con la tierra. I love, me encanta, yo me encanta ensuciarme las manos. So, a mí me dijeron lo mismo que a ti. Does it speak to you? And I say, yes. Working here with plants speaks to me deeply. And they were like, okay, find a plant, una native plant that speaks to you, and find out the history of the native plant. And I did. And I did the white sage. And the white sage, it's a plant where I put it in my water bottle, and it's to heal and detox, to like no estar deprimida.
It's a natural antidepressant.
It's an anti-depression. So, I'm still learning. Y una cosita que quiero mencionar rapidito, it's not our fault. No es nuestra culpa that we don't know where we're coming from, because I'm reading this book called 1987 by Orwell, where basically this is what they're doing to us. That's why I don't even the people that don't know and they talk bad, like I'm like, you just don't know, because our history has been wiped out so many times. Like, they don't want us to know where we're coming from. They don't want us to know that we have that power in us. So what did they do? They wiped history, right? So now that makes it so hard for us to know who we are, where are we coming from, right? It's very difficult, but you know what? To everybody that's listening to me, search. Busquen adentro de ustedes.
Yes.
And follow your intuition, tu intuición, porque te va a llevar.
Yep.
They said that our first mind, our first brain was our stomach, our gut. Because our gut tells you, right? You know, like, should I do it? Should I not? The gut is telling you. So, si estás perdido, tú te vas a encontrar.
Yeah.
Sé paciente, ámate, y it worked for me. And even aunque mi familia El Salvador no me apoya tanto, no sabe tanto de mí, yo sé que lo voy a lograr porque I'm determined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that, Barbara.
that.
I
Yes.
love that so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. What about you, Vanessa?
Growing up, it was, interesting, much like yours. But I was super quiet. I was super quiet growing up. It's actually a shock to a lot of people who knew me before that now I'm acting, modeling, and doing a bunch of crazy stuff. So what came with that, though? I mean, my mom's from Mexico, is the Zacatecas, and my dad's from El Salvador. So,
Oh, cool.
I grew up mostly with my mother's culture. My parents separated when I was like 9, so it was mostly just into the Mexican culture, and we're a family of like rancheros. Like we own farms here in California and in Mexico. So very yeehaw.
And love a yeehaw.
Yeah, but like I grew up as like I was such a like black sheep. I was a little emo kid, like I was growing up and like super rockera, and everybody was like, oh, like that's, are you okay, like is everything good at home, like, and I'm like, yeah, dude, So it was really interesting, because you go to the family gatherings, we would have these giant quinces, and everyone would dance, and I'd be there like holding my sippy cup in the corner, like a high school like dance, and just by myself in my own little corner. So it took me a while to like escape from that and crack myself open, and like I said, it's such a shock to people now. And I think in like when I left for college, dude, I had time to fully grow into myself and rip the Band-Aid off. And as I was navigating myself in the industry, I wanted to be proud of who I was, right? And a lot of that is embracing, where I came from. Yeah,
I love that.
So I eventually, like, through fashion, I started, embodying the cowboy look, the Western look, how my, family dresses, and starting to feel more comfortable with that, listening to more Spanish songs, listening to more corridos. My uncle's, he's a singer of a banda, so like it's like I'm from that, and
It's in your blood.
yeah, it's in my blood.
You can't deny it.
No,
Exactly.
no, I can't. And through that, like, now I dance. Like, that's what I do. I love to dance. I like,
Same.
Yeah,
Let's go
yeah.
dancing.
For sure. But I didn't grow up like that, so it now it's like fully. Now I'm just exploring my Salvadorian side, because I didn't really get to grow up with that. But I'm fully like embracing it now, and when I do the jobs that I do, and when I, you know, present myself, I do like to add a little touch of, you know, my culture, right? But I don't want to heavily advertise it, you know. I don't want to be an industry plant for what they think is our culture. I want to be a just like an example,
a representation.
Like, yes, of diversity.
It's
in our
part of who
culture.
you are, but
Yeah.
it's not all of you.
It's not
Of
who,
course.
like, exactly, yeah.
It's just,
I love that.
It's just like, I feel like in the industry they try to capture what they think Mexican culture is, right? The bright colors, tacos, and whatever, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And but there's people
And
like me.
so
There's
much more.
Yeah, there's little nerds like me who grew up like I did, and they're not represented, and because they're not Mexican enough or Latino enough based on what the media is depicting, right? So I want people to look at me and be like, wow, like, that's cool. Oh, they're Latino? Wow, I didn't know that. But there's people like me who exist, and that's a big part of like what I want to do, and my driving passion for representation in the industry now.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. No, we are so proud of you, because it's so important, and just like, even like you said, being like a female, like a woman, like, but you have a like you present more masculine, you know, and so like that, people, like you said, people want to know, people will have their ideas, right? But it's like with it, you hold that power within yourself of how much you want to share, how much you want to embody a version of you, and who you're going to embody that version of you with. And, you know, that is literally, I think right now, a struggle that a lot of like young, like, I don't even want to say young girls are going through, but like in general, like the younger crowd is going through, you know, like who are they safe with? Who can they be themselves with? We have like such a problem with like media, social media, you know, and like kids are not really able to be themselves in person, but they're being themselves behind of a screen, and like the consequences of that, you know, it's not good. Like I had, like yourself, I'm a mother, you know, and so I see that like full effect in my kids, you know. My son, like he comes home and he's like the kids didn't play at school today, like they didn't play at recess, like they don't want to play, they hang out. And he's like, I hate that, like I hate hanging out, like I want to play, you know. And so, you know, with that, like, yeah, it's I forgot how I was tying this together right now, because I started thinking about my kids and I miss them. So, but yeah, like it's important for us to talk about this, to you know, step into ourselves and talk about like that. I guess what I was trying to say is that identity crisis.
Yeah.
Like I feel like more than ever, like our youth are facing that identity crisis, and you know, like. Yeah, just from that personal experience, like with my kids, you know, I have a daughter, you know, and she's thankfully like surrounded by really strong women, but you know, I see her peers and her friends, and not all of them are, you know, and a lot of their mothers are like my mother, and they're like busy at work and, you know, navigating life. And so, yeah, I guess I want to ask now, like, everyone here, like all of you guys are in very different lines of work, creative as well. What would you guys as like individuals have to say to like the younger version of yourself?
That's such a good question. That is such a good question. Does anybody want to go first? I want to sit on that for a while.
Okay, fine.
What would you tell your younger self?
Don't be afraid. Baby girl, don't be afraid, because fear is not a spirit that was given to us by God. You know, it's al contrario. Fear stops us from being ourselves, you know? And I was so fearful that I was in this dark secret for years. And I'm like, only if I wasn't afraid of saying it sooner, maybe things would have been different. But you know what? Even that, I would just tell myself, like, trust the process. You might not understand everything, but everything that you're going through, you're going to need. like the wolf, it's never gonna come to my house again. No, the wolf came to my house 3 times. The first 2 times, he blew my house away. But you know what? I tell my sister, this was a lesson for us, and our kids will not go through that. So every pain, every suffering that I went to, I would tell myself, you're gonna need it for your future and for your future kids. I'm not thinking of having kids anytime soon. I love kids, but I know that when they do come, I'm gonna be more prepared.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I would tell myself.
I love that.
Thank you.
I guess I'll go next. I fortunately went through a lot of obstacles throughout my life, and one of the major obstacles that made me the person that I am today was having to be a head of household in many ways for my family. There's so many times where I would have to parent my parents, and even now, and it's.
Are you a firstborn?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
We're all eldest daughters.
That's usually
You too.
Eldest daughter.
All of us.
Oh my gosh.
That usually comes with the territory.
I love this room even more.
I feel like being the
struggle.
firstborn and the firstborn daughter, like it has a lot of responsibilities, and I think for our parents too. I don't know if all of your parents are here, but like my parents struggled with like how were they going to raise me in this country that is not known to them. It's foreign to them. Mm-hmm. Even though we're seen as the foreign people here, when we arrived, everything was foreign. Mm-hmm. I asked for a sandwich and I got a hamburger and I was like, what is this? Mm-hmm. That was not what I was used to eating. So I feel for like also like our parents where they have to they struggle, right? And it's not all their fault. Like I see the mistakes that my parents made, but they weren't on purpose. Right. And those are all of the lessons that you're talking about. Like you'll be able to pass down these experiences because they're not mistakes and they're not things that were not serving a purpose in your life in one way or another. And the purpose is learning the lesson, incorporating the lesson, and not letting that lesson like wound you so much that you can't move on, and teach the lesson to others. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay, continue. Yes.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to hijack that.
So good. No, it's so good. Well, one thing I would tell myself is to let others help you. Accept help.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a very good one.
It's very hard to accept help when you are literally your environment is molding you to be independent. And you have to. Many times where you have to turn off your emotions in order to handle business, and I struggled for a bit. It took a while for me to allow myself to lean on people and accept help and move forward with my career even now, and a lot of that has to do with killing my own ego, which I had to do before entering this industry, because that's you're not going to make friends like that, but I love to live my life without ego. Like that's my whole thing. And so I would tell myself that it's okay.
Wow,
I love that. That's so real. Yeah.
Hey guys.
Hey Tess.
So it's, first of all, I think that it's been such a empowering thing that, like, I remember last week we were talking about our vibe attracts our tribe, and a lot of my friends, it's so crazy that a lot of my friends are the eldest daughter, and I'm as well an eldest daughter to 6 of us. It's crazy.
I'm also the eldest daughter of 6.
See what I'm saying?
How many sisters do you have?
I have 2 sisters.
I have 2 sisters too. 3 and 3?
Yeah.
Me too.
Girl, I'm telling you, vibe attracts our tribe. That's so crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
She has 444 tattoos.
Yeah.
I have the
so
8
funny.
here.
She's 8.
Oh, and you have 2.
I have a 2
Okay,
here.
so I'm left out.
Where's your angel numbers, girl?
I wanted to get
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, so I think that as a kid growing up, I wasn't allowed to embrace myself, and I had to, since I was supposed to be made out as the role model, any kind of personality or any kind of uniqueness was frowned upon in my house, you know, like if I wanted to wear my hair down, no, you must wear it up, because it's like you can't wear it down, right? So I think that if I had a message for my younger self, I would tell her to, I think, just to tie in with everyone, it's like, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to live your truth. Don't be afraid of your parents, because what is the worst that they can do to you? You know what? They're gonna beat you up, okay? But you're still gonna look cute for school. So, so you know, just don't be afraid to live your truth, and everything that happened to you. No matter the amounts of trauma that you went through was for a reason, right? Like, God is not gonna put us through these crazy childhoods for no reason. You know, it's for a reason, so we can mean something as an adult, and so that we have these crazy foundations that are happening to us, right? These crazy trauma stories that impacted who we are as you know, children into adulthood, that happened, so that we are able to learn from these experiences and be able to do better, and break generational cycles and curses that unfortunately I genuinely think that the eldest daughters are destined to break, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're the ones that needed to go through the most crazy things so we'd be able to be better and an example for our family to lean on.
Yeah.
So
And that's such a heavy burden that, like, you know, we didn't ask for, but like one that I honestly would take gladly, you know, as the eldest daughter. Like, I'm glad that my sisters didn't have to go through what I went through.
Yes,
With
I agree with that.
even them having the relationship they have with, like, my mother, because I have a very strained relationship with my mother. But, like, even them having the relationship that they do with my mom, even though it's not perfect and it's still, like, toxic as heck. But, like, I know that my mom was able to be a better mom to them because of the things that we went through. Like, together, me and her. And so, like, yeah, like, I used to hate being the firstborn daughter, but, like, I feel like now I truly, like, I love it. I have my daughter. She's a firstborn daughter, you know, and like, she don't have no older brothers, thank God. At least that part, like, I did that part right, you know, because my mom gave me 2 older brothers, and oh my gosh, they're not even listening in, so I don't care. That's, you know. Yeah. But my sisters, they listen, and you know, they support, and they're there, and that's I think, like, sisterhood is just such a beautiful thing, you know, and
such a beautiful thing. It's like your best friend. You know, it's like your best friend, and sometimes the relationships can get a little misguided and a little bit messed up, but messy is part of the human experience. You know, we wouldn't be humans without a little bit of ugly, right?
Yes.
So I love that. I love.
Comadre, do you have a little message for your younger self?
I would go with what Barbara was saying about not being afraid. I think I grew up a little too afraid of taking bigger steps. Like, one of the things I regret not doing in college was doing, like, semester abroad, or like when you study abroad. Like, I didn't do that. If I could go back, I would, you know, ditch the boyfriend and go study abroad.
Same.
Because that didn't.
When are you gonna get an opportunity like that again?
Yeah,
right? Like,
you know, and I didn't even try looking for it. I just looked at it like, oh, that's just not something I can afford to do. I didn't even look. I didn't even bother, just because I was like, oh, that just doesn't seem like it's for me, or I'm too afraid of, like, what it means to do something like that.
So don't limit yourself.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. And that's the other thing too, that just growing up, it was not okay to make mistakes. You know, there's, like, certain expectations.
It's not okay to make mistakes.
No, it's not. It was not okay. And I was not even allowed to make a decision as to what I wanted to do after high school.
Right.
I had to go to college. Like, there was no
ifs, ands, or buts. Like, this is it. This is your life.
Right.
That's
o vas
it.
a la escuela, o encuentras trabajo y
Pagas
you
renta.
find your own way. So that was, like, that was scary.
Of course.
Because at 18, I really didn't feel like I was ready.
College
I mean, I
bound,
barely feel ready now. So with like everything getting so expensive, I'm like, gosh, am I going to be able to like, make this work?
Right.
But you always find a way to make it work. And I think that's the resiliency in us, that even though like we come from, expectations, whether they're educational or family expectations, or, like you had to, be head of household for a while, like these things, again, back to the lessons of like learning from this lesson so that your life is better, and then you can impart that knowledge to other folks that may be struggling. So that's, like what she was saying, like this is sort of the point of the show, is to just have these conversations, because we don't really have them that often. And even though like social media is great, it eliminates all of this.
Yes.
Right.
Realness.
And this is what our youth is missing.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm so sad. Like my son, like, like they hang out, but like he's like, they don't even talk when they're hanging out.
They're
like,
just on their phones.
And now they have like that no
Oh, so what do they do now?
rule.
Girl, stand there and kick rocks.
You know what they're doing right now, actually? Like, which is
Oh
actually
my
really
gosh.
wholesome. But my son has gotten into origami.
Cute.
Like, so
I like that.
he's like, homie is like, I gave him an idea. I was like, you should trade these at school because they have these little like school money. I can't say the name of them because everybody would know what school they go to. But they have these like little dollars that they give them.
Like
from
Monopoly money.
Yeah, like Monopoly money. And I was like, you should trade these in for the money. And he's like, that's not a bad idea. So he's been like kind of trading these
Little school business.
trinkets and stuff. And I want to remind everybody that you guys are tuned into KROJ 101.5 FM. We're coming to you guys live from our studios here in San Fernando at Pueblo y Salud. And we're broadcasting to you guys live from Panorama City. I am Comadre Diosy.
Comadre Maria.
Our guests are Comadre.
Destiny.
Barbara.
Your favorite actor, Vanessa.
Hey, favorite actor, Vanessa. And
Vanessa with one S.
one S. Oh, girl,
so
I think I
much.
butchered your name. I'm sorry. I put 2 S's on the flyer.
It's all right.
My
Fix it
apologies.
after.
But yeah, we are Las Comadres, and we are here, with Voces Unidas on KROJ. We're produced by Valley Views SFB Media. And we're just chatting it up, talking about our childhoods, our identity, our creative selves. And, we're kind of wrapping up the conversation here. But I wanted to tie it back. Like, we were talking about the kids, and like all of these like messages toward your younger selves. I think like they resonate a lot with like the current like generation of kids right now, and I think that these conversations we're having, like I hope that, we can inspire some of that conversation. Like, even if it's like me going home and telling my daughter about like what happened today, and she goes to school and shares that, like I know that some of her friends listen into the show, and we have had other young girls on the show who are frequent listeners too. And so like these are all messages that I want them to hear, and not just like as women. Like I think like our young men need to hear these conversations as well, because like like the feminine aspect of a man, is so important as well. And I think that they don't get enough of that. Our mothers are so busy, working, and, so I think that these conversations in general, they need to be had on a bigger scale. And I'm so grateful for you guys for coming in, for being vulnerable, for sharing, maybe should I share maybe a message for my younger self?
Yes.
I'm like, how do I wrap this
you
up?
made us do it all. You have to do it yourself.
Yes.
Let's see, a message for younger. So my first name is Crystal, and so growing up, that was my name. I didn't embrace my middle name until a couple of years ago, which is where very few people in my life called me Diosy. Dioselina is my middle name. And it was always like just like a name of endearment. Like it was a name that was used like when like heavy things were happening. And so like now Diosy is like a name of like I feel like it's the most me I've ever been.
I love that.
And so I guess what I would tell my younger self is like don't get so caught up in what the world is telling you that you have to be, that, you know, what a girl is or what a sister is, what a daughter is. You can define that for yourself, and the people in your life are going to love you for who you are, and the people that are not meant to be in your life, they're not going to love you, period. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing you could do to change that. You can never change the way somebody feels about you. Si no les nace, no les nace, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And so, like, I think that that's something really big for me. Like, you know, like, accept yourself regardless if people accept you or not. And, you know, don't be afraid to embrace every part of yourself, regardless of who sees you for who you are to them. You know, like, I think that's something that I struggled with a lot. Like, I meant a lot to, like, everybody. You know, I was an older sister to 5 kids, and then I was my mom's daughter, and, you know, I was a student. I was, you know, there were so many titles on me that, like, I was supposed to be something, but like, I don't think I really started to question who I wanted to be until, like, literally, like, until I had that identity crisis. My father passed away, like, and this is like 5 years ago. And so, yeah, like, love yourself for who you are and let people love you for that version of yourself. Forget everything else. And so that would be my message for my younger self.
I love that.
Very nice.
I love that.
So beautiful.
Reminding us to live in our authenticity.
Yeah. You guys, this was so beautiful. We have plans after this, so we're going to get off the airwaves. I think you guys... Oh, that's my phone. You guys are going to meet my sisters.
Oh
my God.
They're coming. They're
So
coming with us later
exciting.
in a bit. So, everyone, we are signing off. This is Las Comadres. You guys, please let our listeners know where to catch you guys online. And if they want to get these braids, how can they connect with you? And then can you please let us know how we can get in touch with your art, how we can know what's going on with you, and if you have a performance coming up, if you have a showing, where can we figure that out? Let's start with you guys.
Okay. Well, we have a few things that we want to say. Tomorrow, we're going to be at Venice Beach from the time of 3 p.m. to sunset. And we're going to be doing conchas braids and ribbon braids. Follow us on Instagram. We will post exactly where we're going to be at. And our Instagram is Chicas Braidz with the C at the end. Is there anything you want to share?
No, I just hope that whoever's tuning in, we are always at Bodevi as well. Bodevi, shout out.
Hey, Bodevi.
Hey, Bodevi. Work with us. Let's do a pop-up. But yeah, we're always at Bodevi brainstorming some things. So if you ever see us, come talk to us. Come say hi. We're super approachable.
Beautiful.
I'm a little different. I'm all over the place. But I guess go to my Instagram. That's where I post all of the things that I'm doing. I recently was on a dating show that I won, which was...
Hey.
What dating show?
Okay,
Don't
saving
tell
the
me
good
you were
stuff
on The
for the
Bachelor.
last.
No,
On The Bachelorette.
No, it's a new dating show. It's going to be on YouTube, but I'm going to post about that when it comes out. It should be coming out this month, so that'll be interesting.
That is so exciting.
Well, it was, I was really tired. I was really tired when they shot because they were like, they had call time at like 2, and then we shot our episode like at 6. So it was
Crazy.
yeah, so I felt like I was like no personality, like wet noodle, like energy. So it was...
Your body was there, but your mind was
Yes,
not.
and I
quite
won.
there.
You
still.
won.
Wow.
Wow, I look
Imagine if you were at 100.
I know. And then I have...
Swoop them off their feet.
Yeah.
And then, like later this summer, I'm gonna be in a film festival for an AFI film that we shot, and that was cool. I did my first stunt, which was nice. It was an explosion, so I'm excited. So yeah, reach me at the Vanesa Melendez with 1 S.
1 S. Okay.
The Vanesa Melendez with 1 S. Chicas Braidz with a Z. Voces Unidas en Pacoima in Spanish. And this is KROJ 101.5 FM. We are Las Comadres. Comadre, any last words?
No, thank you all for coming today, for taking the time of doing these beautiful braids, and for sharing your experience, your journey, your knowledge. We really appreciate you taking the time to come today. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank you,
much.
guys. All right, y'all. Our next show is next Monday. We're going to be here with Voces Unidas. And then we'll wrap up and we'll have our first April show. Can you guys believe it? We're coming into the first quarter of the year already.
Spring is almost there.
Spring is almost here. We had time change, y'all. So we hope that you guys are feeling good and, you guys are checking in with us. But we'll catch you guys next Monday. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.